and it's getting worse, I think. As you said, it's based on greed, and it's completely materialistic. And they're extremely skilled in something, in type of repair and emergency. We mustn't take that away from them.
Right,
when it comes to chronic or degenerative illnesses, they often do more harm than good, actually, because they don't understand it. Also, they have a sort of philosophy which as we mentioned before, only takes into account the left brain, and of course that is only half of the human being, and in a sense, in this context, perhaps the least important half of that.
Right. And as we both know, and the listeners probably know too, we've been dominated by the left brain, and a male controlled society probably since the beginning of time. Other than the brief moments when there's been some kind of a divine feminine influence, which has been taken over and kind of wallpapered over, I think that's going to be returning as part of the new shifts that are going on right now.
Oh yes, that's part of the Aquarian paradigm, actually, that I'm writing about in my new book, and of course the Aquarian paradigm is bringing in the equality principle, but the equality between everybody, and especially between sexes and races, and so that's where the female becomes as honored and as important as the male.
Right.
And we're seeing that, of course, it's happening.
Well, yeah, we're not burning witches at the stake anymore, are we?
No.
I'd say that's progress.
Yeah.
Now, you mentioned the Aquarian paradigm. There's so many different views on when the Aquarian age starts. I remember the play Hair in Hollywood, in Los Angeles, played many years ago, and I went to see it, and they had that song, when the moon is in the 7th house and Jupiter, blah, blah, blah. Well, when does this actually happen? Are we in the beginning of the Aquarius age, or where are we?
Well, yes, that's exactly what my new book is about. Paradigm Pulse, Sensing the Surge of Change. And I've cracked that code, actually. And I have found that the Aquarian age began to express itself in the mid-18th century. And the first sort of important expression of that was the U.S. Declaration of Independence and the U.S. Constitution, followed by the French Revolution. And the Aquarian paradigm has, shall we say, two main strains, as it were. One is the social one, which has to do with equality, abolition of slavery, democracy, universal suffrage and all that, and respect for the individual. And the other one is the technological one, which is based on electricity, which was discovered basically in the 18th century, and Benjamin Franklin, who was an Aquarian by his birth sign, as we know, invented the lightning rod, which is an early understanding of natural electricity. And of course he was one of the principal ideologists behind the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution.
Right.
And so that's when it started. And the steam engine was invented more or less at the same time. Well, it was invented perhaps a little earlier, but it was sort of perfected for industrial use at about this time. And that was what laid the basis for the industrial era, which brought together collectives of workers and made it possible for the masses to raise its standard of living eventually. And that's part of it. And then it's all the technological development that started then, basically. Well, I mean, yeah, something had been on the agenda a little earlier, of course, but it really got going at that time with electricity, and then communication is one of the main principles of the Aquarian paradigm, but especially connectivity, connecting separate entities. And of course, communication is something that has taken off exponentially since then. And it's happening by waves also, by decades basically, not exact decades, but roughly. And it's a very interesting thing actually, and I explain it all in this book. And of course the social side has to do with the equality and the respect for all kinds of people.
Mm. Now, before we go on much further, just in case the gods of Skype are not smiling on us, would you tell people where they can reach you, either by email or by your website?
Oh yes. Well, my website, I'm setting up a new one for the paradigm shift, but it's not active yet, so I won't give that, I think. My old website, where the information is at least, is the www.Jerndal, that is my surname, JERNDAL.net.
Ah.
And the book that is out now is Cracking the Rainbow Code, and that has also a lot of stuff about the new paradigm, but it's not really about the new paradigm. It's about what should I call the essence and functioning of the universe and at the basis of consciousness.
It's a very hopeful vision for the future, most assuredly. You bring up a lot of points in the book that are reiterate or reinforce some of the previous things that some people have said, and you've broken new ground as well. So there's a lot of meat in the book, and one of the things that you talked about was crystalline technology and the paranormal and psychic realms. Do you want to talk a little bit about the crystalline technology?
Well, could you specify that a little bit? I'm not quite sure what you're referring to.
Well, let's see. Hold on a second. I've got to look at my notes.
Well, crystals, of course, are at the. I mean, that is the basis of all computer technology, of the memory.
That's it. That was it.
Because the computer memory consists of silicon, as we know, and silicon is a little sand crystal, and that is its capacity is to absorb, store, and re-emit information. Mm-hmm. And that is, of course, also the explanation of homeopathy, which I talk about in the book as well. Mm-hmm. And, I mean, the radio started with a crystal. Well, maybe we don't know that anymore, but those who are old enough. Well, there won't be many left, I suppose, who experience that kind of radio. But
I remember the glowing bulbs.
It was actually just a crystal that could, transform the sound and transmit it. And so the crystals have a very, very remarkable qualities, and water also has these remarkable qualities.
Have you become familiar with the work of Dr. Emoto? I think it's Matsuro Emoto, who was the one who vibrated water at certain frequencies and froze it, and came up with different patterns that proves, for without a doubt, that that even just a printed word affects water. The assumption being that there's a consciousness in water that resonates at a certain frequency if you program it to do so.
BBSradio.com.
So here we are again. Oh, we're having a wonderful time tonight. We're talking to Dr. Jens Jerndal, and we're discussing consciousness in water and various other things. I apologize for the breakups, but as I said, the gods of Skype are not smiling on us tonight, so there's a reason for everything. But shall we continue on, Dr. Jens?
Oh, yes, sure.
As long as we can, and if it drops, unless it drops again. This is going to be an interesting show. It'll be very memorable for everybody, I think. What would you like to talk about? Is there something?
I think we have covered a bit of ground. Now, what I have found is obviously that, I think we mentioned that the invisible reality is the really important one, and that it precedes the invisible reality, as I call it, precedes, determines, and actually causes whatever is visible and physical, you know. When people ask me, what do you mean by the invisible reality, I say, well, there are two sides to it. One is energy, electricity, magnetism. They're all invisible, but they are at the basis of everything that is visible. And the other one, of course, is thoughts and emotions, which are also invisible, but that are what motivate us to do things and create things.
Right.
And without which we wouldn't even exist. So,
exactly.
So it couldn't be more important than that. And of course, the modern science, not so modern anymore, has got all that wrong. I mean, as we said before, they think that it's the cart that pushes the horse forward.
Oh yes, it's quite primitive.
But we are now discovering the truth, I think, and more and more people are becoming aware of and this is really what I am all about, is trying to teach people awareness of this invisible reality, and how we can